If I can transition. There we go. Hello, welcome to Skald's Tale Eclipse, a story featuring the life and tragedies of many heroes across the land. Before we get started, we need to take a moment to thank our partners. This includes Harry Scannell, our composer in residence, tabletop audio and battle bars that allow us to have ambiance music and incidental clips, respectively. Gabriel Pickard, who allowed us to use some of his maps, and we especially want to thank TTRP Theater for sharing this virtual space with us. But with that being said, let's go ahead and run our title sequence. Bad things happen in darkness. I need a bigger computer screen. That's key. Queens for answers. However, this was only the start. Creatures that only can exist in darkness made their way to the public eye. Some with altruistic intentions and others with wicked plans. I am here to... Bad things happen in darkness. What is unseen is perhaps the most scary. Often I look out into the darkness and wonder what terrors await me. I often wonder during those early days what would happen without the protection of the light, and what would happen to the world. It was a fateful day when the world turned dark, when the flock of ravens appeared to distract us from the true horrors that were to come. The day the sun turned dark, blocking our only protective shielding. I remember the day well. People were initially okay until the weight of the consequences sat in. When dark things began to arise and unexplainable phenomena happened, chaos ensued and people pointed to the kings and queens for answers. However, this was only the start. Creatures that only can exist in darkness made their way to the public eye, some with altruistic intentions and others with wicked plans. I am here to tell you the story of the day that the sun was taken from us and the ensuing weeks that followed. A story of heroes and villains that defined history. Please hear the story and hear the events that transpired during these foreboding times. For I have the true story, not the lies you may have heard. My name is Christopher Rondeau, and welcome to Skald's Tale Eclipse. Technical difficulties are over, right? Okay, we're good. Borkius, you are entering the city of Kolor, escorted by a respectable caravan of about 10 people. You have 10 guards around you, you have your servant with you, the female human known as Abigail, as well as an alchemist friend who is there to just do some trading in town, but I think everyone knows that he's there just to keep an eye on you. You look around and you can smell the dirt and the musk in the air as you begin to enter the outer city of Kolor. You see people around you. Interested in this caravan that has started. We have a carriage that you are currently sitting in, with your alchemist and your servant and your 10 guards around you, and it is creating this sort of parade effect. People are looking around and trying to understand why you're here. Most people didn't get the memo that anyone is supposed to be here. Now, we are checking an audio issue, and hopefully we can fix this. There we go. Great. So, as you enter, why don't you describe your character for me?
All right. Bork is at the tallest end you could possibly be for a medium character. So he's a big dude. You know, we're almost 7 foot tall. When you throw on his big boots, he looks like he could be a giant almost, you know, on the small end of a giant. So those boots add that extra couple inches needed. He has very broad shoulders and is thick built. He has light green skin and is half tusked. So he does not have the full-on orc tusks. He has smaller overbites. And his ears are more akin to a half-elf than to a human or to an orc. And he's mostly bold, except that he has, you know, that Chinese or that Asian tie in the back of his head, you know, single ponytail. He's of course wearing noble clothing right now, but underneath the noble clothing, he does have a chain shirt, so it kind of jostles around as he's walking about. And so yeah, there you go. Since this is a noble wedding, he would have his weapon on him, but it's more set in a ceremonial position, given that the weapon itself has historical and personal meaning to it. So he has a giant bastard sword, literally a bastard sword from a giant, strapped to his back, and its name is Death's Shade. So that is Barkitis. That is Bork the Orc.
Isn't that a little ominous for a wedding? Just throwing that out there.
A little bit, almost like it's a bastard sword wedding.
Right, well, we get to the point, Bork. You are here for your wedding. You are getting married to some nobleman's child from the city of 10 Towns, and you're not really quite sure why this wedding was set up for you. The benefits of this wedding seems kind of minor in comparison to your other siblings or family members that have gotten arranged weddings in the past. But you are here to do your duty, and we will see what happens. But you are traveling with an alchemist, Henry. Why don't you quickly describe your character?
Sure. Henry is an older gentleman with once dark, now sort of peppered with gray hair, and a square jaw, or like a very well-cut jaw that makes his face look kind of square, especially with the mutton chops that he has on the side of his head. And he always kind of talks as if his nose is pinched.
Perfect. So you guys are heading into town. You guys know you're supposed to get to the Church of Persephone pretty quickly. But as you enter in, we look out into the town. The town on the outskirts before you hit the wall, it seems rather dreary, rather sad. We have a slight rain coming down as we see people kind of melancholingly walking from location to location. You see an assortment of beggars on the streets trying to panhandle for a couple of silver pieces or copper, or if they're lucky, maybe even a gold piece. And most of the guards that are escorting you is really just trying to clear the path out of people who may attempt to get in the way to cause an issue. And thus we are entering this town. Upon getting a little closer, you hear a slight knock on the carriage door. Sir, we're about to enter the gates. Would you like to greet yourself, or should we introduce you?
I think it's better that you introduce us.
He gives a little shiver as you say this, and goes is like walks away. You just maybe a little tiredness in his eyes, a little bit of fear and uncertainty about whatever this task is. He goes, "This is Borchius Commandus Electus, first of his name, third heir to the house of the Silver Compass and Blade, the Green Mountain, Giant's Bang, and Warg Singer. And please open the gates to the city of Kolor for this great man." And we hear the portcullis begin to open up as many guards begin to look down to try to get a look at the carriage, and ultimately you are let through. Now we are in the capital city of Kolor. Kolor is going to be the biggest superpower in the kingdom of Million, as well as the entire world itself. Now, anything you want to do upon entering the city?
We've been on the road for a long time. I need a good drink. What say you we make our way to the closest bar?
We're at
As
the
you say, my lord.
what? Sorry, go ahead. What?
As you say, my lord.
He nods stoically and then stares out the window.
So you are entering from the north. You are from the Warden of the North, so entering from the north gate would make the most sense, which immediately as you enter in, the quality of life gets better. We see that everything's cleaner, there is grass, there is wildlife. So as you begin to look around, you do find that you are in some place called the Dragon's Ward, something you're probably familiar with. You probably traveled here quite a few times. And what you're seeing is a lot of noble houses. You had a couple of options. You can head directly south and go into the Craftsman District and try to get a lower class inn, or you can head to something called the Firestone Inn, which will be just slightly higher class. It's a place that you likely already have rooms for. Just because you are nobility, and it is the highest class in the city of Kolor.
If I go to the higher class one, they're gonna pretty much know me, and I'd have to put on my noble face. So actually, I think I'm gonna go to the commoners inn so I can let loose.
Got it. So you begin to head around. You're in the Dragon's Ward right now. You can maneuver around to avoid the city center, and head to the Craftsman District. And the first inn you see is going to be something called the Goblin's Market. This is a pretty common franchise around the Kingdom of Million and Malik, as well as some places in the Blackwater Mansion. And you head into the Gobble Market, and first thing you see is just a litter of people just sitting around there drinking. Now, it is very early morning, and these people are getting their alcohol quota done pretty early as they see this half-orc walk in, and they go, "Ah, another one of our kind," as another half-orc stands up and walks over to greet you, probably not quite realizing the importance of who you are right away. Sits there, or stands there, walks over, just with a little bit of a sway, and goes, "Aye, you can call me Johnny." Walks over, tries to shake your hand, which immediately involves a guard stepping in between you and him.
No, it's alright. Let him pass. My friends call me Bork.
And I shake his hand.
It's like, come sit down with us. What brings you to town?
Nothing major, just marriage, you know.
You can't keep an orc down.
Let's get ourselves some mead, yes?
Of course. Bartender, and this human lady, maybe about 40 years old, goes there and goes like, "What do you want, Johnny?" "Well, just 2 meads for myself and this man over here." "You gonna pay your tab?" Eventually. 2 meads. Like, "No, but really, pay your tab." It's like, grumbles and like goes into his coin purse and chucks over a couple silver pieces. It's like, "Now 2 drinks." And 2 drinks are slowly moved from the bar area to wherever you guys chose to be seated. This inn has about 15 tables. Most of them are pretty full. There are some card games and dice games going on in various places. You can hear the sound of dice rolling. You can get the smell of the inn. You know, it's not like low class, but we still kind of get the smell of grease from the food of breakfast and the smell of working people in this place.
What's the alchemist's name?
Henry.
I take a deep
Or
breath
Mr.
in.
Gilland.
I go,
Ah, you smell that, Henry? It's life. Come sit with us, friend.
Henry isn't about to deny his employer, but at the same time looks like he's trying to touch as few things as possible in this place. So he kind of like pulls out a handkerchief to like pull the chair back and then sits as close to the edge of it as he can. Says, "As you wish, my lord."
Lord, is this your what should we call it? Squire? What's the appropriate term? Manservant, perhaps?
It's honorary title. Yeah.
Alright. Honorary Henry. 1 more mead on my tab. And drinks are passed out. And as the first 15 minutes of this place goes, people begin to talk about the guards outside and the sense of like uncomfortableness. Like, why is the guard here? What is that symbolism? What is the crest on the body? And you take a look, and many people are kind of like putting 2 and 2 together. Despite the early hour, there is a sense of tipsiness. So it takes them just a little bit of time to associate the guards with you and being called Lord. But
thanks, Henry.
But Johnny looks over and is like, "Well, do you have a place to stay up? Are you, Lord?" Bork. Where are you staying?
My father has me put up in the fancy inn. I have to keep up pretenses for his name's sake, or else I'd find myself more comfortable here. Such is the way of life,
Such is the way of life. Well, you're always welcome here. I don't know about your friends outside, but you're always welcome here. Any orc kind. There's not many of us in the city. There are a few. But I understand you had just received a royal missive, so we'll cut for a split second there. So more time passes as you guys begin to drink, and it becomes to be about noonday. I think Henry would realize we're borderline about to be late.
Is the wedding this day?
No, the wedding is tomorrow, but every sort of preparation needs to be made this day. And he needs to
the rehearsal and
meet,
so forth. I assume.
Yeah, meet his wife, fiance. What's the appropriate arranged marriage title? Betrothed. I like that.
Yeah, betrothed. I like that too.
So Henry will wait till Bork isn't talking, although he doesn't mind interrupting any other company that might be there at the moment, and attempts to get the lordship's attention with a few sturdy my lord.
What's wrong? Your throat dry? You need more mead? Bartender, can we get more drink?
My lord, we have the rehearsal to get to, my lord. 'Tis nearing noonday.
Yes, well, I haven't finished my drink yet, so, after that, yes.
I am certain they would allow you to take it with you, my lord.
He's gonna look around kind of nervously, and then look over at Henry, kind of looking slightly defeated.
Just stone-faced, half-lidded, doesn't want to be here anymore.
Henry, there are times, my friend, where I'm just heartbroken that you're such a stick in the mud. All right, let's go.
Thank you, my lord.
He's gonna put his drink down, get up, stumble backwards, put both arms out to try and balance himself, stand up straight, sway a little bit, look over at Henry with a big goofy smile, and then give out a big, massive...
Great. It's gonna be a fun wedding.
Charming, my lord.
We leave the Goblin Market and head back to your carriage, where, as you open, you see your servant, Abigail, who's been waiting in the carriage, kind of her place to not enter during the activities of her master. Kind of looks up. She has slight bags under her eyes, and she has a very, very clear complexion. We can see the blonde hair just going over her, I'm directionally challenged, right shoulder, and looking towards you and goes, "Welcome back. Are we off?"
Yes, Henry here seems to think our plans are more important than experiencing life, so we're going off. While we're on the travel, Abby, you should get yourself a cat nap.
she has a hood up and she kind of holds it a little closer and is like, Henry, can you do anything about the breath?
Allow me to concoct something. He'll fiddle with his alchemy as they travel in the carriage.
Yeah, shouldn't be too hard. You can do that pretty easily. And as you do this, we travel about 15 minutes to a very uncomfortable ride, I'd imagine, as we have alchemical vials being tossed around, and this poor Abigail, who's clearly offended by the catnap comment. And you guys begin to head outside the Craftsman district. You pass by a dock that seems to be up in the sky, and then head to the Temple of the Divines, which will take us to our next area. The Church of Persephone is a fairly big church. We can see the white marble the white marble of the cathedral being set there. And there are many people here, a lot of servants, quite a few royal guard. Being a noble wedding, there seems to have given you guys what you guys would need as far as making sure everything is established. And you head into this place. Abigail is going to remain in the carriage for just a little while longer, and you can see the front gates. The guards do move out of the way, recognizing who you are, recognizing some of the symbolism, and the smell of alcohol is mostly gone. So what would you guys like to do?
I'm gonna look around somewhat tentatively, and then look over at Henry.
Well, we're here. I guess you should, do the whole royal introduction thing.
Yes, my lord. Stepping forward. This is like an entranceway down here, I take it. Okay, well, I don't have control over my token, but he would move into just the entrance of the, I guess it would be more so, I don't know where one would be announced here, perhaps here?
Go for it.
We don't have control over our tokens.
Yeah, I'm fixing it now.
I do now. Stepping inside, he would go, presenting his Lord Borchius Electus, third of his name.
I'm gonna walk up behind him and kind of whisper in his ear.
Still need a little more practice on that, pal. Good try, though. Good try.
And coming
Henry
around.
Sorry, go ahead.
Good. No, you're good.
I was gonna say Henry with all 10 of his charisma would be like, yes, my lord.
So as you make your announcement, a couple people do begin to gather. You see in front of you a dwarven man about 4'5", 4'6". Bork is towering over him. He is wearing priest garments. Does have a small what do we call it? A mace on his side, and goes like, "Yes, we've been waiting for you for a little bit. Come along." And he escorts you guys to the back of the cathedral. It's a little bit of a walk, but you do eventually arrive at the entrance.
All right.
so you guys can place yourself.
Wow, that is a hell of a walk.
It's a cathedral.
Plenty of time to practice our power strut.
How's that going for you guys?
I don't know what kind of check is a power strut.
There is swag check.
Acrobatics.
If you really want to roll it.
We'll just assume it went well.
Okay.
There you go. There's mine.
There we go. That's a power strut. So you head to the back of this area and begin to enter the cathedral. And you walk in, and we can see that there is a lot of torches being lit. You see the symbolism of the sun on the ground, which is supposed to represent Persephone's father, the sun. And you look across, and you see what appears to be two elven figures. And why don't we cut to Demira? Why don't you give me a character description, please?
Okay, so Demira has dark hair and dark eyes. Her hair goes to just below her shoulders. It's much fuller on one side than the other. The other side is kind of tied. And she wears noble clothing. She has on a corset and a skirt that has many layers, and she also has overhanging the skirt some of the scarves with the little medallions that a gypsy might wear. And other than her appearance, at first glance, it might seem she is more of a servant than a noblewoman. Just the way she holds herself, she keeps her eyes lowered to the ground. And even though she has very good posture, her head is tilted downward, and it's this very subtle kind of aura of being passive and obedient.
Submissive might be a good word. Cool. And you are being escorted by Kashara. Kashara, why don't you just give me a brief description?
Kashara is very tall, lean. She wears dark clothes and a hood. The hood. Her clothes are also very light, so that she could have a good movement. Because she could be flexible. She has her, if she was allowed to bring it to the temple, she would have her bow and arrows with herself, all the necessary equipment for the god. Even inside the temple, she's wearing the hood. She has light hair. Some of it are braided, and she also has a facial on her face some drawings. She stands there with pride, even when she glances at the other gods in the temple, she obviously kind of a little bit, maybe perhaps even judges them, but majority of the time she holds her attention on Demira.
Okay. And both of you can hear the doors open to the cathedral, and you can see this human and this orc creature. This might be the first time that at least Kashara has seen an orc. You can see the difference in skin tone, the slight underbite of the jawline, the weapon that seems highly impractical, and they power strut forward closer into the cathedral. There's a couple other people here. There is a woman named Sarah who is human, also seems to be a priest here, is kind of handling a lot of the wedding business, sort of what do you want, and a lot of it's been done for you. A lot of the reception and then the wedding. It's one of the interesting things is you haven't seemed to have met a pastor or a chaplain yet. You haven't met the person who is officiating the wedding. So, but Sarah is here to to help you out, and she sees the door open, and the grandness of Bork the orc entering through. And it's like, I think that is your betrothed, my lady. Should we go greet him? He's a little late.
Yes, of course.
It's like, all right. And the two parties will connect. Demira and Kashara, why don't you go ahead and perceive for me, please? Right side of the character sheet. Demir, you can smell alcohol on his breath. Probably not the it's not like overwhelming, but it's definitely there, and we're hitting about high noon right now.
Okay, so we're facing each other now? Like, we walked down and everything?
Sure.
Alright,
Hold on. As they're walking towards us, before they get there, and before they're even in earshot, I lean over to Henry.
Ma'am, I could have done worse. Look at her. She looks like she can handle herself, unlike her half-elf servant. My goodness, that girl reeks of incompetence. But still,
As you say,
my betrothed is even armed. Good for her.
Does Henry know one of them is supposed to be his wife?
You probably know that the half elf, who he's betrothed to, is a half elf and not a full elf. He probably
He's a little inebriated and hopeful.
Henry's not gonna say anything. There's no right answer for this one.
So, I imagine that just my headcanon, Bork is leading his small group, and Demira is leading her small group, and then we can meet somewhere on the side, maybe here-ish.
Okay.
And our two betrothed meet.
Demira gives a very deep curtsy, keeping her eyes low, and says, "My lord, it is very nice to meet you. I hope that we shall have a long and fruitful union."
I look a little bit surprised, then look over at Henry with I shoot a glance over at him that's almost accusatory, then back over at her.
My apologies if my appearance does not please you.
No, that's quite all right. It is a pleasure meeting you as well, my lady.
He's gonna take her hand and kiss it as he does a bit of a curtsy.
Now-
She doesn't react much.
Now, there are some sort of orc tropes that refer to orcs as very, very hairy, like almost to like a small area of like fur or something like that. There are some that refuse them as human, like smooth skin. Do you have a preference?
In his case, he's definitely more of a smooth skin. Like I said, as a matter of fact, on his head itself, the only sign of hair is the warrior's ponytail.
Cool. Okay, so you give this curtsy and this kiss on the back of her hand, and Sergei's like, excellent. You are just a little late. I guess I just have a few questions for you, and we can get started. I just need some instructions, and you're free to go see your go to your rooms at the Firestone Inn. We have got you the honeymoon quarters for tomorrow night, so well, if you wanted to check those out too, I guess you can. But right now it's like, what do you want to do with this tapestry over here? It's like, oh, these flowers. And over the course of the next 10 minutes or so, she begins to ask a lot of questions. If you guys, like, how would you guys respond to that? Where's the headspace?
He personally would be very uncomfortable, stoic, and whenever she asks a question directed towards him, he would be like, he would respond with just a very simple,
whatever the lady would like.
And just kind of deflect things over to his soon-to-be wife, just kind of trusting her to set everything up the way she wants it.
For Demira, it just seems like another day for her. She very calmly answers questions, and not really by her preference, but what is the most practical, what will make the biggest impression. It seems she has a fair amount of knowledge on aesthetics and costumes, and she has no trouble directing the servants and setting up the area.
You think this is more of a elvish wedding or a human wedding?
Definitely more elvish, but there might be one or two things that might be more human, just because of Demira's preference. Though she would never make it look like an outright human wedding for images' sake, but it comforts her to have one or two human things or customs around.
Yeah, perfect. So, and we begin to set this up, and ultimately, once the instructions are set, it is now time to, for everything to begin to happen, and people begin to set things up. How long do you guys want to stay here? Are you guys the type to oversee everything, or is the type to move on?
Borkias has already made a bad first impression, so he spends this time just sort of trying to demonstrate that he does support what's happening. So he's gonna stick by his betrothed's side until she's done. And as soon as she expresses the fact that she's ready to just let them handle things, then he'll be like, "Oh, thank God," and he'll head out. He won't say that, and he won't demonstrate that outwardly, but his inner thought would be, "Thank God."
Unfortunately, Demira feels like she needs to oversee the majority of the proceedings, just because of the way she's been brought up. And so she will stay basically until she needs to leave to eat.
Okay, perfect. So, so many of the instructions go there. A couple hours will pass at this point. And ultimately, you're allowed, you guys are higher class people, so no one's going to tell you when to eat. You're supposed to tell them when you want to eat. So there's this sense of just Demira wanting to go eat, but no one's telling. It's like a catch-22 basically. But yeah, we can do this for a couple of hours. What is Kashara doing while this situation is happening?
Keeping her eye on the lady, of course. If she goes too far away, like in the temple, that she might disappear from my sight, so I will walk closer. I just have to do that. Then try to patiently deal with all these, she wants that color or that color, and etc. Right? So just kind of be there.
Very very polite so far in this meeting. And Henry, what are you up to?
All right. First of all, I apologize if there's a bunch of background noise because someone is mowing a yard outside. Henry will keep his distance for the most part, and not like far away, but probably like 10 feet away from the party, and just sort of observing how things go and making mental notes and sort of keeping an eye on the elf just a little bit, and kind of just counting down the time until he believes the next thing they should go do, which would be about lunchtime, at which point he would step forward and make such an offer to Lawrence, or well, to Lawrence's character.
Yeah, we'll say that you can hear the church bell strike 1 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. Henry would step forward and do his usual attempts to get Bork's attention.
Honestly, Henry, you need to take a lozenge. What is it now?
Yes, my lord. It is nearing lunchtime. Perhaps you and your betrothed would care to reconvene at the Firestone Inn.
Yes. Let's. What do you think, my lady? Would you like to go get something to eat?
Of course, if that is what you wish.
Yes. Yeah.
And he'll, I guess, head over to offer his arm for her to put her arm around his and lead her out.
She does.
While we are leaving, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
While we are leaving, because we all the rest of us are following the pair, I would like to approach the escort of like the one of the members of the escort of the groom here, Henry, and I would say to him, "You were late. Is he always late?"
Henry would sort of like, as she approached him, he would like look her up and down, and he's sort of like looking down, like she is taller than him, but he's still finding a way to like look down his nose at her. Says, "The lordship will do as he pleases."
I see that. And your lordship, what kind of a man is he?
Let's see.
What you see is what you get.
I'm trying to think of how proper Henry is supposed to be. He would probably say, "It is not my place to discuss his lordship."
Very well. I just hope that he will not, well, misbehave during the ceremony.
Okay, at this point, Henry would probably take like a little glance around just to see who was there, and assuming it was mostly like people distracted working or leaving, he would be like, "So long as we keep him away from the beer." And with that, he would take his leave to follow them.
I see.
So we'll fast forward a little bit as we enter the Firestone Inn, and we see this nice 2-level kind of dining area. We have the downstairs and then like a balcony that overlooks it. It's not as busy as the Goblin Market. It is a little earlier in the day. Plus, there's a lot more space to fill, a lot more tables, maybe about 20 tables down below and another 15 up on the balcony level. And these tables tend just to be a little bigger and can seat more people. This is a place where people go to in groups. It seems like it's established for that. There is a bard in the corner, a halfling man playing a lute, and he's just strumming some ambiance music. Nothing terribly. He's not putting on a show. He's just there. And there's maybe about 10 people talking on this lower level. A couple more people up in the balcony as you enter in, and it seems like there has been a meal already set for you guys, and it's getting slightly cold. As we see what looks to be some sort of roasted pork, and some fruits, vegetables, cheese, bread, the assortment. And as that is happening, why don't as you head in, why don't you guys give me a perception check or perceive for me? All right, our elves, as you guys enter in, you swear you see, like, this flock of ravens going from the west to east. They don't seem to stay, but they do seem to be heading east of here. We see quite a few of them, a couple hundred pretty easily. And, you know, while they leave pretty quickly, it's like being a fortune teller just feels a little ominous. But you guys can enter in and have a meal if you would like.
Borkaius would, open the door for the ladies, and including the bodyguard, surprisingly. And when they get to the table, he'll pull out his betrothed's chair and set it in for her, and rather than doing a bluff like you would imagine, given that he's putting on a show, because he was trained in Colaire University, he's going to attempt to use some of his society training to try and, present himself noble and appropriate.
Yeah, and you're doing a fair job at human customs, which I don't think in elven culture someone opening the door for somebody is as normal as it would be in this more medieval sort of culture. But I think Demira is aware enough of human culture to realize that this is fairly normal for people trying to do.
I'd say she even relaxes a little at the, more human customs. She seems a bit more comfortable.
Good.
All right. And we sit down for a meal, and something catches your attention as another party enters the room. It is a single woman. She stands about 5'6", 5'7", somewhere in that range, and she just has this different look to her. Her hair just has a slightly green tint. She almost seems slightly bluish in color, and she's just wearing this very, very simple kind of wool robe that goes on top of her body. It seems very, very out of place, and she kind of looks around, and almost everyone catches her coming in who's in here, and makes very, very clear eye contact with the party. Anyone who's looking over can see that she acknowledges the party, and she heads upstairs. And there's something about her that strikes you as a little off. Some characteristic that, makes you curious about who she is. And as she leaves the room, you kind of snap out of it and return to your meal. But there was that almost like sense of an enthralling nature just off the simple glance she gave to the table.
In a positive way or in an eerie way?
I would think it's more eerie.
Okay.
And many of the people here, I think I said there was about 15 people here. You can hear them begin to whisper about her as she entered in. No one knows who she is. And even the person who is working like the books is trying to figure out who this person is. Like, she doesn't have a room here. I don't know where she is. And there's just a slight concern about her presence, both because of the eerie nature of it that everyone felt, and she just went upstairs and she doesn't seem to be in the books.
All right,
Can
I'm gonna
you
motion.
still see her sorry.
No, go ahead. You're
No, I just
on
wanted-
the same track as me. We're gonna react to it. So go ahead. You first, because you're a guard.
I wanted to ask if we can still see her, like while we are on the first floor when she gets to the second one.
Yeah, you can see her when she hits the balcony, but it looks like she's heading up to the rooms specifically. So this building is 4 floors. The first 2 is sort of the restaurant area. The top 2 are living areas that people rent out. So she seems to be heading to that 3rd floor. So you have eyesight on her for maybe like 2 minutes or so, and then she's out. And 2 minutes from her entering, looking around the room, and then heading up.
Once she leaves eyesight, Demira is going to reach to her side and grab her crystal ball, and she'll look at Bork kind of apologetically and say, my apologies, but I believe I am witnessing some dire omens, and I might as well show you my abilities, seeing as we are soon to be wed. And she puts her crystal
He's gonna
ball on the
nod
table.
and motion for Henry to come over at the same time.
And she's going to try to do to see the future, the immediate future, with a fortune telling check.
So I'm supposed to put a DC to it, I'm guessing. 25 is pretty high.
I assume you would decide what you'd be able to see or know.
Yeah, so you begin to look into the future, and are you viewing this as, everyone, be able to see it, or just you? How is the clarity of the crystal ball to the people around you?
I'll say, it's more clear to her. To everyone else, it looks very abstract. Like, they can't tell exactly what's going on. She's more of a interpreter. She can see it more clearly and interpret what it means.
Okay. So, we look at the scene where, you guys are in a room. The wood is very similar to the wood structure downstairs. So it's either the same place or very, very similar. But we see a canopy bed there. We see a desk, an armoire, a chest at the edge of the bed, and we see the mirror here, standing there, same garment she's currently wearing, and we see this other figure standing in the room there. Just seems to be the 2 of them, though. There's some blurriness in the vision where there could be other people here. It's just kind of hard to tell, as the main focus, your main focus does go on her, and she seems just very, very, very alluring. She steps forward towards Demira and she takes down her hood, as we can see the elf ears and the sort of almost ethereal kind of complexion of her. She definitely has a outer planar quality to it. It's most likely Fae is kind of the impression you get because of the elven ears. It gives you that, and she reaches over and seems to grab you by the face, and she gives you just this kiss on the lips, and then the vision ends.
Demira stares at the crystal ball for a few more moments. Blinks.
While she's seeing whatever, while she's experiencing it, I had motioned for Henry to come over, and I look over at him, and I say to him, kind of quietly, because I don't want to interrupt her seeing her vision.
Quickly, go get the bag.
Which Henry would know is referring to his bag with his armor in it.
Yes, my lord.
And then he turns back to his betrothed to see what is going on. Kind of looks over his shoulder like, what in the world? What is? I see a bunch of weird abstract images. I don't know. And then he waits for her to address.
I imagine that you get a lot of colors, more or less. Like you can see like we'll say like the comforter on the bed is purple or something, and so you can see the purple there. You can see the wood. You can see that there are two figures, but you can't really tell what they are doing. Just that it's kind of there.
Okay.
Demira kind of pulls back, looks a little confused, and says, "In my vision, it seems at some point I alone, or with others, end up in a room with that woman, and she makes advances."
I shift a little bit in my seat, kind of rub the back of my neck.
Well, if that's how you want to spend our wedding night, I'd hope I would be in the room too. No judgment. I mean,
And he just kind of rubs the back of his neck.
Demira flushes red and says, I do not know how I end up in this situation. It is quite unexpected, to say the least. She'll put away her crystal ball, still looking very confused.
My lady, do you want me to find her?
Yeah. Do you?
This is not funny. This is serious.
She seemed to have this otherworldly quality to her. I don't know that it would be safe for anybody to approach her alone.
I don't have to approach her to kill her if she's a danger to you, my lady.
I don't know
At this
if she's
point,
a danger.
Henry will come bustling back with like a sack of armor over his shoulder. Your
I
sack,
do
my
not
lord.
think that it's going to be too much of an issue.
I take the bag from Henry.
So long as she's not a threat to the honor of our royal names. I see no reason to attempt an assassination at this time.
I look over at my betrothed.
She
Lastly, my lady, I would only say this. My temperament you will find to be rather slow to anger. But when I reach a pitch, it is something to behold. Unless your servant wishes to discover that anger within me, I do suggest you remind her place versus mine.
Jamira nods and turns to her servant and looks at her meaningfully and says, "We will not harm this woman or make any rash decisions, and I expect you to show the utmost respect to Lord Electus."
Of course, my lady, but your safety is my duty, and if I will see that that woman is going to be a danger for you, I will take my actions.
Berkaius nods at that, kind of like almost like approving, like he's like, yeah. he's just like, yeah, all right, good. As he takes his bag of armor in hand, he looks over at his betrothed.
If it is at all possible, glean as much as you can every now and again. It would take me a good few minutes to don this.
I open the bag and show her the chainmail armor within.
So I'll need at least that much of a heads up if I am going to be defendable in protecting you.
And he'll at that point go back to eating and drinking. Kind of nonchalantly too. I mean, you could almost tell that he's seen combat and is sure of himself, because he is absolutely unshaken at the idea of danger. He's just like, yep, whatever.
Demir looks a little troubled, but will continue eating.
I will try to keep my eyes on the part where the woman has disappeared. However, sometimes I will definitely glance at the half-orc judgmentally. I still dislike that he has made some orders to my lady how she should treat me and judged me.
Henry, what are you up to?
Henry's trying really hard to develop the ability to read minds at the moment, because he left before the big reveal and came back after the conflict. So he was like, what the hell did I just miss? And he's not going to ask either, because it obviously just settled. So he's like, I don't know what happened. I'm not going to ask what happened. I'm just going to sit here and eat my food.
Okay. So as you guys continue on, the meal finishes, and you're approached by Abigail. She is still wearing this hood that seems to be up, pretty closely tied, and she's like, both of your rooms are ready. If you have anything to settle in, I will begin to get my lord's stuff, and I can escort my lady's stuff as well. Muted.
Demira nods and says, very well. Most of my belongings have already been transferred, as I arrived quite early, so you do not have to worry about me.
Oh, of course. And she procures 4 keys and plants all 4 keys in front of their respective owners. It's like, these are to your rooms. My lord and lady have their own separate rooms currently up on the 4th floor, and the guards and everyone else has the 3rd floor. There are a couple other people here, but they shouldn't pose any disturbance.
Abby, have you gotten any sleep?
I can sleep right now if that's your order.
Have you had anything to eat?
And she kind of looks around, particularly makes eye contact with Demira and back to Bork. It's like, I borrowed some. No, I haven't.
He immediately stands up out of his chair and motions for her to sit down, with some of his food still sitting there.
Mm-hmm. And I think right when she makes eye contact with Demir, and she's really normally seems to be avoiding eye contact. You can definitely tell that her eyes don't appear very human-like. Her skin tone and complexion seems to be, a nice peach, I guess, coloring to it, but her eyes seem to be just a little more pointed, almost feline-like. But she begrudgingly sits down, tries not to make eye contact with anyone, and will eat like a sandwich or something. We established that sandwiches were Duskinvale inventions, so she eats some bread and cheese.
There's some meat and cheese and stuff sitting there.
Sure, yeah.
Demira will pass her a plate.
Sure.
And Bork is kind of standing. Yeah, Bork is kind of standing just behind her. And he puts a hand on her shoulder and just says,
"After you all finished eating, I expect you to get some rest. You are no good to me as a servant if you are dead on your feet. Eat, drink, then go and sleep. If you do not have a room close to ours, I expect that to be changed immediately. I want you close by in case we need you. Understand?"
Yes, I have a room on the 3rd floor with the other servants. Okay, as you order.
Good. I'm glad.
And the meal relatively concludes. What do you guys want to do next? Do you guys want to head up to your rooms, or do you want to go back to the wedding, or
wherever we're supposed to be? I would imagine.
Yeah,
Henry would shuffle Bork off to wherever they're needed.
So, like, you guys aren't needed anywhere. You can. So, if we think of like an itinerary, the daytime is mostly to prep the wedding, which has been done, and then the evening is for rehearsal. So we have several hours to kill if you guys want to. Same with Demira and.
I got an idea then. All right.
My lady, it would seem we have some time to waste. How would you like to go and visit the Calistone Park and Zoo?
That sounds lovely.
Excellent. Your guard can accompany us as well, just to continue keeping you safe, I suppose. I enjoy her loyalty to you. It's good. Henry, you can either accompany us or assist Abigail at settling in, whichever you would prefer. Unless, of course, you have something you'd like to do on your own. You have free will.
kind of his way of saying, "Do whatever you want."
Henry will accompany the lot of you.
I will accompany you, my lord.
Bork just kind of nods.
So Calistone Park has a sort of two aspects to it. We have this area that acts as an actual park with a lot of forest. It's a couple acres. It is where a lot of the students go to. So Borkius is probably familiar with all the druggy hangouts that the college students go to and all that stuff.
And he'll avoid those.
Fair enough. And then there's the actual zoo park, which enters you into a magically protected area that you can see a bunch of wild animals. It's slightly dangerous, but it does there are like rangers there to protect you if any of the animals get unruly. But there are some cool things there. The biggest feature is like an owlbear cave. So if you wanted to go see an owlbear, you can enjoy that. Half owl, half bear, all monster. Much like
Borkius.
Much like I wasn't gonna.
Bork.
Yeah, you said it, not me. You said it, so I didn't have to. And why don't you guys give me a nature check while we're wandering? Oh, nice. Is that everyone?
Henry. Henry's the only one that didn't roll.
Oh, I figured a 23 would be enough, unless you really want one from.
Oh no! Oh, you're.
I think 23 will be enough. So, Demir, you look around and that same sense of energy that you had in your vision with this woman, you can sense that same energy around you. This kind of fey-ish feel.
This is very lovely. However, I feel as if there is a disturbance around us.
A disturbing force, you say? Well, if it makes you uncomfortable, we can always move from this place to another.
I don't know that it is the location.
I kind of rub the back of my neck.
I see. It's the company then.
No. Oh, no. No, I did not mean to suggest such an insult to you. No, of course. I simply believe I think some dark energy is following us for some reason. As if something bad is going to happen. I feel like something is wrong.
He frowns deeply at that, then looks over at her guard with this tentative, very almost naturally militant, commanding look on his face.
I don't look even at him. When I hear from my lady that she's not feeling safe, I look actually around, and I am particularly more like trying to see if there are not any shadows hiding, behind the trees, because I get the feeling that perhaps that woman is following us again. So I'm looking for that woman. I'm not taking a look at the half-orc.
Okay, so as you do this, you see some sort of small figure kind of whisk right in front of you. You just see this creature quickly move from tree to tree, and while Bork and Demira is having this conversation, I would say Henry can see it too if he's keeping a lookout. And it just disappears into the tree line. Very, very small, almost bird-like, but you can definitely see it's not the right coloring for a bird. It's not like a black or blue or anything like that. It's almost like a very, very light tan-colored skin.
When it just was like to me, you know, close to me, I think it will be on like a reflex for me. I will just grab my bow and an arrow, and I just want to hold it like in my hands, like, you know, almost like ready to aim.
Okay. Yeah. So, you tense up a little bit, pull out your weaponry, and seem to be preparing for a threat. What is everyone else doing?
Seeing her tense up, I'm actually going to move in a position. No, I can't control this token.
What? All right, hold on. Take care of that in a second. Thought I fixed this. My apologies. All
right, so I'm going to move to where I'm sort of in front of the rest of the party, in a position of, you know, like protection. And then I'm going to look out into the general area.
Okay. And as you do this, you see the a small fluttering creature to your right.
All right. I'm going to look towards the creature.
I do not know if you intend harm, but if you have yet to decide, may I suggest we have word first? I feel that combat between us might not be necessary. Come, let us speak.
Okay. So, we'll say that particularly, at the party can kind of see these figures beginning to maneuver, and this one kind of comes out of the forest work and is holding a small rapier. It's like the size of a toothpick, and it's a very, very small fairy sprite sort of creature. When I was making this encounter, I was thinking about Tinkerbell, so we can use that as headcanon. We take a look at it, and she just kind of gives this slight and doesn't seem to charge at all, but kind of waits. She's definitely fey. She's definitely slightly magical of some sort, but she's just kind of holding this toothpick. She's maybe like 8 inches tall, so.
Okay.
I see you are armed, and I must tell you, so am I. As are at least 2 of my companions. The other is equipped with something far more dangerous. Her mind. Her magics.
So...
Oh,
go ahead.
A part of me wonders which one of us would come out on top if we fought. Somehow I fear it would be us. And I do not wish you any harm if it's not necessary. So, what say you we parley?
Yeah, that's pretty good, but everyone but Bork can go ahead and perceive for me, I think. So, coming from the back of the source, we see another figure appear. We see the same figure that we saw at the end. This woman had a slightly blue tint, slightly blue tint skin, slightly green hair. She sits there. She stands there in her kind of wool robe and kind of elegantly, like almost on her tiptoes, begins to approach. It's like, you can parlay with me.
He's going to bow to her, and does he recognize any kind of nobility about her? Oof! Ouch! Ouch!
This would be a religion check.
Oh, okay.
So if anyone has lore in religion or religion skill, I can't remember which one it is, I will allow that to be rolled.
Oof, we're doomed.
Trained in it, but my wisdom is terrible.
Yes! See, I told you, she's got the most dangerous tool, her mind. Look at that. Religion 19. Come on.
She, yeah, you look at this person, Demir, and you, like, you are from Ten Town, so you studied a little bit about some of the Fae, and this person is one of the Archfey, or the demigods, we can think of it that way, if we don't want to think of Archfey. This is Dav. She is the lady of music, oftentimes portrayed. She is very, very carefree. But this is demigod. This is Grim Reaper level, except a lot nicer. She stands there and kind of looks towards the party, and I imagine Demira kind of gives a look of recognition. Is that fair?
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you know who I am," and she takes another couple steps forward.
Yes. Dav, is it?
Yes. I would like to have words with you in private, if that's okay.
I raised
That
my
is
eyebrow.
not happening.
I raised my eyebrow like, oh, we're here.
Demira holds up a hand and says, "This is a demigod of the Fae. If she has something to say to me, I would like to hear it."
My lady, this is incredibly unwise. You are not going to stay with her alone. I have to be there.
You can observe if you'd like.
Can I observe?
But we must speak in private, if that is okay.
That is.
If I will stay at her side.
That's not private.
That's private. Imagine that I am a nobody.
But you are nobody.
Oh, shit.
Very well, then. That means I can stay with my lady.
This, how we want to handle this is largely up to you, my lady, but we must have words in private.
Out of this group, whoever wishes to come may come. I will ensure that as long as you intend no harm upon me, no harm will come upon you.
They can watch, but my words are for you alone. There are higher powers that don't want any prying ears.
I see. Do you
I'm
have a
all
sort
right
of-
with this. I say we respect her wishes. As for the god, I enjoy her loyalty. Stepping out of her place as she is, though. You are an archer, are you not?
I am.
Right. I say this so that you know we're hiding nothing. The archer's going to remain having a beat on you, my lady. You and your servants. Should any make a hostile move, her arrow will strike you before my beloved's body hits the ground. Afterward, my blade will be loosed, and many will fall, even if that includes me. Please understand, this is not a threat. I respect your position of authority, my lady. This is a warning of what may very well be a bad scenario.
Dav looks towards you guys. Dav looks towards the party. I accept this, as long as our words are private.
I nod at her.
So be it then.
And
Demir will walk forward.
okay, and she'll move a little further away. The sprites are there. They will sheath their toothpicks, and
They're very intimidating.
So cute.
Dav kind of looks towards Kashara as she slowly approaches. Like, it's adamant to have such loyal friends and companions. Though from my understanding, you have just met them.
No way, yes.
She looks up towards whatever sunlight is coming through. In a few moments, something very bad is going to happen to the world. Something that disturbs all the gods. And you and your betrothed are locked in this conflict, unfortunately. Let me first extend my apology about the role you have to play.
No apology is needed if I am to act out a destiny decided by the gods or the will of the universe. I will do my best to achieve that.
We there's a moment of silence as everyone can kind of see the sunlight getting slightly darker. It's like, and so it begins. I ask that you take a gift from the gods, something that is very, very important and very, very dear. And as soon as you can, this evening even, head east to the Vagabond Forest. More answers will be there, but I must give you this mark.
So be it, I will not refuse a gift from the gods. I could not.
And she kind of looks over to the party as they're, at least Kashara is giving the death glare, I'm sure.
I'd be kind of half naked at this time because while they're talking, I'm getting into my armor.
Okay.
I'm like as soon as the sunlight started dimming and they're talking, I'm getting this foreboding feeling. So I'm literally like without any kind of sense of abashment or anything. I just start stripping down and getting in my armor.
That is a decision. You should have opened with "I want to don my armor," and not with "I am half naked." But you know, still PG-13. So Dav, Desert, she her limbs almost seem to be getting longer, and her robe seems to be getting absorbed into her body almost, and she seems to be slightly changing form almost. And Kashara can choose to shoot her bow whenever she deems to, so feel free to interrupt me. But she does this as she imitates her full Fae form. She just gets a little bigger. You see Dav, the goddess of the Feywild, or one of the goddesses of the Feywild, in her full glory, and she reaches and she seems to be about to grab your face.
I'm shooting. If I see that she's reaching for Demera, I'm shooting.
Okay.
Seeing her tenseness, seeing the archer's tenseness, Bork is actually going to put his hand on her arm and kind of put her bow downward before she can loose the arrow, and reminds her just quickly,
"That is a demigod. We don't stand a chance. Besides, all she's going to do is kiss her. Remember, we know this much. She foresaw it."
Whatever she's planning on doing might be poisonous. If anything happens to Demera, my arrow will end up in your throat.
So,
Agreeable.
Is that a threat towards Bork or the threat towards Dav?
me?
Okay.
No, towards me.
Okay.
Yeah, towards
I'm
Bork.
stepping in. I'm
Sure.
getting in her way of her doing her job, and he knows it, which is why he went agreeable.
So she reaches, grabs your face and kind of grabs your neck and reaches in for this kiss, and for about 2 or 3 seconds, to everyone else it feels a little longer for you, but you can feel your right shoulder. You can feel warmth begin to go through your right shoulder, and right above your right breast, just right up here near the collarbone. You can feel this sense of warmth, and she releases you, and you see this archfey there. Goes, "You have been marked. I would take your betrothed, as he has a role to play too. Head to the Vegamon Forest tonight. The wedding doesn't matter in the scheme of things." And as you look up, the sun is completely gone, and we're just seeing this darkness of this forest. The time for celebration is over. You have been marked by the Fae, and I wish you good luck on your plight. Now we will take our leave without hostilities, kind of looking past you. And as she does this, she is in full Fae form, so she is, seems like there's like leaves coming out of her hair. She has slightly longer fingers and limbs, and her robe has disappeared. She's not wearing any clothing as she slowly begins to walk, and then there's just this enthralling nature to her. Not enough where you are compelled to do anything, but we get the Fae trope where, there's this sense of wanting to follow the Fae. And I think that that thought kind of strikes you guys all, but you guys can choose to not act on it, or you resist it pretty quickly, especially Kashara, who is in a very focused state. But she follows, and the sprites will follow as well. You can still feel this this warmth on your right shoulder, and there is it's pretty dark. There's some light. There is a lantern near you guys that seems to spark up when the sun disappears, but Dav seems to be leaving.
I'm gonna walk over to Mira.
Do you wish to follow? I know I do.
Demira is kind of in the same state she was like immediately after the kiss. She looks like shocked and kind of amazed, and then she blinks as Bork speaks and turns and says, I believe she has done what she came here to do. I have unfortunate
rather anticlimactic.
news.
What's that?
It seems that we must head east tonight and forego the wedding.
He frowns.
I understand. Our parents wish this alliance to occur, though. I'm sorry if I have offended you enough to call off the wedding, but...
No, it will occur, of course. But I have received instructions from the gods, I assume, and I am not one to disobey the deities that control the will of the universe. We will
Very
have
well.
the wedding as soon as we can.
Then I shall wait for you. Head east, as you say.
No, you must come.
What? Oh, so by we you mean... we.
Yes, me and you, not Kashara and Henry. We are meant to go east.
I won't leave Abby. She'll have to come with us.
As you wish.
My lady, I hope you are not thinking of leaving me back. I am also coming.
I'm sorry, Kashara. I admire your bravery and your strength. But I must do what I have been told to do. And unfortunately, that means leaving you behind.
You haven't been told to leave me behind. Your father, your family, they will be displeased if I will let you go on your own. You know that very well.
I promise I will do everything in my power. I will write a letter to my father to ensure that you do not incur his wrath, or no trouble shall befall you. If there is to be any punishment, I will take it. I swear.
Should head back to the inn, though, and gather our things. Henry, take my betrothed and start heading there. Give me a moment with the archer.
Yes, my lord. I'll look to Demira, and he's not like leading her away, but he will like stand there prepared to follow her.
Demira will look at Kashar and say, and dip her head and say, "You have served me well. I could not ask for a better protector. Thank you for your service." And she'll head off with Henry.
Having been a warrior in service myself, following a commander, I understand loyalties. I understand that sometimes A true soldier must follow the orders of their heart. If you have the desire, if you have the means, stick to the shadows. Follow us at a distance. Keep your lady safe should I fall. If, however, you have the will for all to obey your direct commander, so be it.
Even without your suggestion, I would have never left her side. I will be there in the shadows.
Good. I'm glad to know that someone as fiercely loyal as you is close at hand. No matter our differences. And between you and I rather enjoy your curtness. I'm tired of the flowery treatment given to me by my name. Having someone treat me as an equal is refreshing. Shall we go?
Yes.
There we go.
And so begins the secret love story of Bork and the elf.
So we will end here for the session. How intense! Just there was a lot of moments of tension there. It was pretty good. If you're unfamiliar with TTRP Theater, we are a network that posts many shows throughout the week, including Cult, Divinity Lost, D&D. We do Paragon and Prowlers and Prowlers and Paragons. I'm good at this. Which is a superhero game, and we have many more coming in the new year. If you look down below, you will see our schedule, and perhaps you will be interested in getting cast for some of the new shows, which you can enter our Discord and check that out. Subscribers can get access to the videos immediately after the broadcast, but if you go down to the YouTube channel, you'll see everything we have seen. You can catch up on the storylines and see what we have to offer. Otherwise, my name is Christopher Rondo, and thank you for coming to our show today. Anything you guys want to plug?
Yeah. Hi, Biz. I run Throwing Bones, a tabletop actual play podcast. We're currently playing Monster of the Week. If you'd like to check us out, you can find us on all podcasting platforms and Apple Podcasts. Thank you in advance if you decide to give us a look.
Are you still casting for that?
No, I'm not.
Glad you got another player. All right, and then we will head out. Have a good evening, afternoon, morning.